Okay, let's give it a few more seconds. It's 11 just now, so I'm sure people are joining. Some of you have joined anonymously, some of you have joined via your Microsoft Teams account. In any way, you can leave your contact details, or we already have your contact details when you subscribe to the webinar. The number is growing, so we'll give it a couple of more seconds. It's doing it pretty quick. And we'll start. Very good. Right, I'll go ahead and start. Thank you everyone for joining this session. It is the first of many webinars that we will be organizing here in Marosa. And for this one, we choose a topic that I believe is interesting for everyone, which is online resources for VAT compliance. Basically, we will cover country manuals, materials, tools, overviews that are available on the internet for anyone working on VAT across Europe. So this has, as we do, a pan-European approach. It is a live webinar, so what you're seeing is what is happening. It's all in real time, but there is a small delay of 30 seconds, but that's part of the production. If you have any questions, you can ask them on the chat on your right-hand side of your screen. At any time, you can go back on time and see what has been recorded, and then push on that little button, and you will go back live. And this webinar will also be recorded. So at the end, we will share the link where you can double check whatever has been shared in the webinar. I will try to make it as practical and as dynamic as possible. And that means that I will be sharing my screen with browsers and jumping from one browser to another, which means that, of course, we will be calling where servers, we will be forcing, while I share my screen, forcing the internet. So bear with me if any issues arise from the IT infrastructure, because we will be handling a lot of tools and resources at the same time. Thankfully, we have Linda in the production, which is our communications manager, and she'll be able to help you if you have any IT issues and help us to get things in order. With all that introduction, let's get into the topic. As I announced already in the presentation, I work myself on VAT knowledge, and that's how it was called back in my previous job. And that was my first task. So I'm quite passionate about this. What we did was I put together a list and I came up with 35 tools in total, 35 resources that are available on the internet for you to do your day-to-day work. And the purpose is just that, is saving you time on your day-to-day work on VAT compliance. That's what knowledge is about. That's what VAT knowledge is about, creating materials so that people are able to quickly check references to get the answer quicker, and eventually also at a lower or no fee, instead of having to send a question to your consultant, getting it back, etc. These are the topics that we're going to touch base, and I'm going just to launch it and start. Well, just a few words before we move into the VAT news, which is the first section. There are over 100 attendees subscribed to this webinar, and we will, of course, share it later. And some of you never heard from Marosa. So just one word on Marosa. We are a pan-European VAT compliance firm, and that means we do VAT registrations and VAT returns, but we do it in all European countries. Now, we are very heavily focused and we rely very heavily on technology. We have our own software development team. We produce our own tools, our own software, some of which I'm going to announce today, and I'm going to show you. Others are under development, so we have a large project on a reporting tool that will be published over the next couple of months, which will be a big thing. And then, as I said, we rely on a team of young international professionals, VAT experts, and on technology. We're filing over 20,000 returns. We're over 40 people, and we are every day getting new clients who need our help. That's all on the introduction of Marosa. Now, VAT news. Let's get to the topic. Where can you find legislative changes on the VAT laws in Europe? Well, I picked 3 resources here, and I will show them to you just now. The first one came out a couple of years ago, is Vat Update. I think when it comes to VAT news, it's fair to say that Vat Update is the most comprehensive more detailed resource in the internet. What Vat Update has an interesting approach also. What they do is basically they receive content from different content producers. Marosa is providing content to Vat Update very often. We're also sponsors, as you can see here, and they publish it. They make a selection and they publish it in their newsletter. They post it in their website as well. So every week you get a newsletter with the latest changes. The biggest benefit of that update, in my opinion, is that it's very broad. It has all countries in the world. It's a global tool, and it has a lot of information, very detailed information. So if you really want to be aware of what has changed over a given jurisdiction, that update is the tool that you can check. It also has these nice filters where you can search by text. So call of stock, for example, by jurisdiction. You can pick Austria, for example, and and you can get the filters. As you can see, well, if I take this one, this is a news published by Marosa, and this is how it looks. They just publish one line and the link, and you click on it and you get to the result. So it's a very good tool. Now, if there is one disadvantage, it's not really a disadvantage, but one thing of Vat Update is that it includes a lot of information. If you're more into compliance-specific day-to-day changes, you can subscribe to the Marosa newsletter, where we cover specifically what changes on VAT compliance in Europe. That's what we focus on. So this is, for example, our last newsletter in March. You can see, well, in Belgium, we introduced the changes for interstate returns. In Cyprus, we went through VAT payment changes, which will go in installments. Deadline for annual returns in Germany. Very, very practical information focused on compliance. The last resource I was going to show you is Ibfd, but I will not show it now. Ibfd is also part of the section for country manuals that I will be presenting, and I'm planning to give you more information about how the tax research platform works on Ibfd in 15 minutes, more or less, which is when we will get there. That's all in terms of VAT news. As I said, and I repeat it for those who joined over the last few minutes, this is a live webinar. Please ask your questions throughout the webinar. At the end of the session, we will go through those questions that will be published. If you join anonymously, feel free to put your name and an email in the Q&A. It will not be published, but we will keep it. That's only in the case you've received a public link. If you join through the website, we already have your contact details, so you don't have to worry about that. And having your contact details is useful because we will share this list of links at the end of the presentation, and hopefully you can keep them on with you, save your favorites on your browser, and make the most of this webinar that we're presenting now. The next section is tools. As you can see, I divided the webinar in different sections: VAT news, online tools, country manuals, and overviews. Yeah. So I'm now going to go through the online tools. I have my links here ready. And the first tool I wanted to show you is very handy, really, really useful, and it does a very simple thing, which is it gives you the VAT number based on the name. And that, which seems obvious, is not available elsewhere in the internet. You can get certainly the name based on the VAT number, so the other way around works. But getting the VAT number based on the name is something that is useful. You will need it when you're preparing your easy sales. That's for the compliance team, but it's also useful for your accounts receivable or your accounts payable team. So it's definitely a tool to keep on your browser. If we look, for example, for Marosa France, is one of our subsidiaries. I didn't mention it earlier, but we have several subsidiaries across Europe. Here it is. Yeah, we find Marosa France. If we look for Marosa Belgium, you also get Marosa Belgium. It is, of course, it will give you the results of anything that matches your search. So if there are more Marosas, as there usually are, they will give you more results. But you only need to be specific to get the VAT number. You click here, and you will see it. There are a number of free checks, and otherwise, after I don't know which number, you have to start paying for this service. One tip from this tool: if you're handling VAT registrations in the UK, we've noticed that because HMRC may take some time to send letters abroad, in some instances, you might find the VAT number of your application to HMRC in this tool before you actually receive a letter from HMRC. So if you are waiting for an urgently or desperately sometimes for a letter from HMRC and your VAT number, check this website. You might actually find your number there. So very useful, very, very useful. The next tool I wanted to show you is the bulk VAT number checker of Marosa. We all know the VS checker of the European Commission. We all know a few other resources that make it possible to check individual VAT numbers. But what is interesting about this tool is that you can check up to 2,000 numbers in one go. I believe it's really useful. We managed to keep it live because we had to limit it here and there. But with the arrangement that we have so far, and we spoke to the European Commission about it, this tool can be used by anyone without limits, except for the limits that we set up here, which are 2,000 numbers per check and 4,000 numbers per day. So very useful. I definitely recommend that you check it. It works just like that. You add your details, you add you validate it, and you get an email. The email you get simply says, here are your results. You get a CSV, you download it. What you do in this section is copy and pasting from your Excel. So you copy an entire column, you paste it here, and here it is. You get the results very quickly. So very handy. The next tool that I wanted to show you is something new that we will be publishing hopefully next week, and I will add already a link to it. It's very interesting. It's a test environment for Spanish SII and Portuguese certified invoicing. And what that means is you will be able to create an account free of charge, log in to our software, and use it as much as you want against the test version. So you will be able to send invoices, for example, to the Spanish SII, but it will not be submitted to the Spanish tax authorities. Everything else will be the same, but it will be on test, not in pre-production. So once you create your account here and you sign up for a demo, you will log into this and you will see this. This is our software as it is at the moment. And our software has two versions, as you can see here. One is test and another one is production. If you click here, you clearly see the change of the colors. You are in production. You're in real life. If you send invoices with these colors, that means they go to the tax authorities. But when you sign up for a demo, you only see these colors, which is really useful because you can download the template for Excel if you want to submit your invoices using an Excel spreadsheet, which you can both for Spanish SII and Portuguese certified billing. You can send them in test. You can check them individually. You can reconcile them against what you've sent. And the same for Portugal. You can download the template. Well, I just logged out, and you can submit it. Our tool allows you to create several accounts. So when you log in, you will be able to see all your accounts for one single user. If you have multiple companies and you just need to choose. So very, very handy, free of charge tool to test Spanish SII and Portuguese certified billing. The next tool I wanted to show you is how to generate an easy sales return. And before I continue, yes, in this case, on the tools section, we shared a few Marosa tools, but that's just because we're investing a lot on making public tools available. We believe they're useful. It allows us to share our knowledge and our information with users who can find it useful and also have already a link with you via our website. So that's why we do it, and we will continue on that direction. This specifically is very simple. What it does is you upload an Excel template, so which you can download here. Is right here. I'll show it to you. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to show you a template that is already pre-completed. And let me show you to you. Here it is. So you download the template. You complete the Excel spreadsheet, which looks just like this. You put your details in. You complete your transactions. You can copy and paste your transactions, and you close it. Now, the reason for this tool is that you will be able to copy and paste all your transactions as opposed to taking all the time that it takes to complete line by line your Excel spreadsheets. You simply need to then complete your details, upload your file, which I have here, and you simply generate the TXT file. Oops, I need to read them. There you go. Here it is. You see it on this corner. That's your TXT file for submission. You go to the Spanish Tax Authority's website, and via this link, you submit it. So very simple, very easy, I believe useful. Some attendees to this webinar have, well, one attendee specifically, which we have been in contact with, asked us to produce the same tool for Portugal. And so we did. It will be available next week. So we will add it as well to the list of links. But just so you know, we now have it for Spanish easy sales. Next week will be also available for Portuguese easy sales. And we're always happy to know about other ideas you might have. So feel free to send them to us, and we will be happy to evaluate whether we can offer the same solution. Those were the 4 tools that I wanted to present today. Now, there are other tools I will not be presenting. One is the distance seller VAT number check. This is a wizard created by Marosa, where with simple questions, you evaluate in which countries you need to register in Europe. It's very useful, particularly for well, certainly for online sellers, because that's what it is made for, and we will update it for OSS. So definitely a good tool to keep on your browser. The other one is the MTD bridging software that we picked. There are hundreds of bridging softwares and MTD solutions. In this case, we are recommending 1 to 3 sheets. We like it because it's simple and is cost effective. So we recommend it because of that. Careful with bridging softwares, because as from April, whatever comes into the bridging software should have been automatically produced. That's where the digital links in the MTD documentation refer to. So bridging softwares used to be allowed always. Now they're only allowed where there is a digital link on all the information reported. I'm also adding a tool for the annual sales and purchase listing in Spain. It's called the Modelo 347. Basically, what it does is the same as our Easy Sales TXT files producer, but for Modelo 347. It's payable, but it's useful if you're filing these returns. Then the Spanish tax authorities publish quite a lot of information with artificial intelligence, wizards, tools to produce the VAT return. Quite a lot of good and useful information published for your VAT compliance in Spain. We will also share a link with an overview of all those. Really, the Spanish tax authorities are becoming very proactive on sharing information. We know they're proactive on asking for information, and they're onerous around that, but they also sometimes give back, and they put together publicly available and useful tools for your VAT compliance work. The European Commission also does publish quite a lot of information on wizards, EU overviews, frequently asked questions. So we will add some links in our list, which you can save and you can take a look at. I definitely recommend that you do take a look because they are indeed quite useful. Now, the next section is online training. There is a lack of online training, as I'm sure you will agree, on VAT, and I take note of that, and hopefully we will start putting out and publishing some online trainings available for everyone in the future. But in the meantime, the best resource that you will find for online training in Europe are the European Commission e-learning courses. And what those are, let me show them to you. It's very interesting. It's in total 74 courses. They are grouped in sections, so authorized economic operators, EMCS, that's excise duties documentation, EORI numbers, Union Customs Code, and what I usually go direct to, but you might as well just check out all the others, is VAT, which is right here. From here, these are all modules for VAT. What these e-learnings do is they follow the structure of the VAT directive. And that means they go section by section through the VAT directive and have a video that comes out and goes topic by topic. Really useful. In total, there are about 5 to 6 hours of training on VAT only. Add to that all the Union Customs codes and EORI training, and you have quite a comprehensive set of e-learning courses for your team. Now, when to use them? Well, we always use them whenever someone is new. We give them those trainings, and we ask them to, on their first day or so, we ask them to take them to start getting acquainted with the VAT directive. That's of course when they are not experienced with VAT, but very useful indeed. So e-learning is something important for which you have this online resource available. As I said, we will be, and that's a promise made, publishing more training courses on our website for everyone to look at, because we already have a lot of internal training, so we have the capacity and the resources to do it. The next section is the country manuals, and this is probably where I'm the most important section, where I'm going to spend more time showing you what is available, and because to me it's really the resource that you use the most. Leaving on one side the VAT news, the country manuals are probably where the one you use as a reference because they are more comprehensive. I have chosen a few country manuals per section, and I will explain the reason for each of them just now. One is Ibfd, and I will take some time to explain Ibfd. The other one is the Deloitte VAT refund guide, and I will explain why I have chosen the VAT refund guide of Deloitte. The other one is our country manuals, which are again very specific on certain items and definitely useful. And the other one is the EY worldwide VAT and GST guides. And then there are some other manuals that I will show you, and that are more on paper or you can purchase individually, but I think they are also useful. Right, if we go into the point, okay, well, this is our overview. All right, well, I had this open, but Unfortunately, it got closed, so I'll open it again. Ibfd, first of all, is a payable tool. So among all the others, is one of the few that I will be presenting that is payable, but still I included it here because it's probably one of the best tools that I'll be presenting here. This is a tax research platform, and this is how it looks. Yeah? You normally can search by term or search by jurisdiction. When you start looking for something, you will probably have in mind one country specifically. So let's take Italy, for example. So we choose Italy and we already get the results. The results you get is one tab for all, one for VAT news. As you remember earlier, I mentioned Ibfd as a resource for VAT news. Well, you have all the VAT news in Italy here. You can also search by an entire region of Europe and get all the news, or Asia if you're looking at APAC compliance in your department, or Americas or Middle East. You also have results by tables because IBFD is pretty good on EU overviews. And you have the country tax guides, which is very useful, probably one we use the most. And I'm going to explain now the country manuals. The first characteristic of good country manuals, or any database of good country manuals, is that it must have the same section for all countries, the same sections. So place of taxation, which is section number 4, should be the same, should be section number 4 in Italy, Spain, Germany, France, any country that you look for. And that helps because once you've searched for an item 3 or 4 times, you already have in mind the structure of the manual, so you know where to go, and it saves you time. The benefit of IBFD, say you click on liability to remit the tax, that's where you're going to find the domestic reverse charge. The navigation panel opens here. You can expand it, and as you can see, it really goes to the detail. So if you're looking for supplies made by non-established companies, it will always be in 10.1.2.1 section, and it is, you already have quite some useful information. To me, IBFD is very useful for the type of more advisory type of questions. It's not very big on compliance specifically, although it has a section for administrative obligations, which you can find here. But really, where it's better than anyone else is on this type of advisory questions. What are the tax point rules in a country? What are the statute of limitations in a country? Where are the place of supply, use and enjoyment, reverse charge? All those matters, you usually find them on IBFD. I don't promise that you will find them. Some country manuals are better than others. After all, they're made by individual humans in each country. But the level and the standards is very good. So I definitely recommend it. That is the country manuals. Yeah. It also has some appendixes where you can find the VAT return, registration forms, refund applications, reduced and increased rates on Annex 1 for each country. And you can also add countries here. So I put Italy, but you could add Spain and you can compare them both. The next item I wanted to show about IBFD is what they call primary sources. Basically, you can find the English version of the VAT law of all countries in Europe, and I guess globally, but we look at Europe, and that's very handy because not only you have them in English, but you also have the link to the directive of each article. As you know, most a big majority of articles in local VAT laws are somehow represented in the European VAT directive. And that link is made through this resource where you can see, for example, in this section, which article is linked to in the directive, and you can compare it. So very handy, really, very handy. You also have case laws and articles. If you are a VAT geek and you like reading about VAT on your free time, the contributions in the International VAT Monitor by VAT experts, and VAT is a small world. We know a lot of them are very good, and you find a lot of good information. And if you want to go deep into one certain topic, the journal articles are a great resource in Ibfd. That's all on Ibfd. I don't have anything to do with Ibfd. I'm just presenting it to make this presentation as useful as possible. I guess you to get access, you need to contact them via their website. The next resource I wanted to show you is the Deloitte VAT Refund Guide. When it comes to, well, I mentioned earlier 8th directive. As such, they're not called 8th directive. It's the 2008-09 EC VAT directive. If you're old enough, you might call them a directive because that's the name they used to have before 2010. But in any case, if you're looking for information on EU refunds in Europe, the Deloitte VAT Refund Guide, which when I was back at Deloitte, had the opportunity to participate on, is the most useful. And why it is useful and why did I pick it for this presentation? Well, mostly because it's very practical. Look, it tells you how many invoices is the maximum, whether you need to submit an XML or not. It often tells you the form that you need to submit. It tells you as well the websites, so the links to the software or the place where you need to submit your XML document. So really useful information, and is worth saying that is the best resource on EU refunds available in the internet, free of charge, is published every year. It's really a link to have on your browser. Then when it comes to country manuals, I still wanted to show you the Marosa's country manuals, which we are publishing. This month we will publish Poland as a new manual. It's a very granular information about VAT compliance in Europe. For what are the Marosa manuals better than anyone else? Well, I would say for VAT compliance. If you take, say, for example, Belgium, all of them have the same structure as I explained earlier. And if you go here, you have information that you don't usually find around in the internet. For example, Belgian VAT payments. Well, we even give you the bank account where VAT payments are made. Of course, this is sensitive information. You need to confirm it with a Marosa manager or with your accountant in any case. But we go that much into the detail and that much into the practical information, how long it takes to get a VAT refund, whether you need to file an e-return or not, what are the penalties. All this is information that is very useful, is focused on compliance, and is available on our website. So definitely a link to keep on your browser. Another section that I believe we are better than anyone is reverse charge. Domestic reverse charge is a usual suspect for all non-established companies in Europe, and we cover that topic very well, including the references, including the supplier conditions, the customer conditions, and the scope for all countries. So really, really useful. You should know about it because I'm sure you will find it useful when the time comes of checking the domestic reverse charge rules in one or other country. If you don't find it because that country is not published yet, drop us an email. We can quickly help with that. It really is information we have available, and we're always happy to share it. The next manual or country manual that I choose to resource is the Worldwide VAT and GST Guide of EY. It's again a PDF, just like the VAT Refund Guide. And the reason why I picked this is because it's worldwide. Yeah, if you are looking for information on VAT in Belarus, for example, or Colombia, or mainland China, you find it here. If we click on, I just clicked on Greece. Again, same structure for all countries, and some good useful information, use and enjoyment rules, time from going concern, again, reverse charge. So definitely good, and definitely a link to keep if you are looking after countries that are outside Europe. We know that tools on VAT for Europe I guess because we've been around VAT for long, are available in a large amount, but outside Europe, not so much. I work myself in Asia Pacific in a compliance center, and there was not so much information. So it's good to have some resources available for non-European countries. The next one is some proper manuals, and by proper I mean paper manuals that I wanted to show you. One is the European Vat Handbook, is published by Marja von Ottele. It's pretty useful. I'm sure if you've been around for some time, you have heard of it. It's only published on paper, but as far as I know, but very useful. Another one is the VAT Compass, which I have here with me. I'm going to show it to you just now. The VAT Compass is published by Ibfd again. It's divided in 3 sections: the VAT Directive, ECJ case law, and VAT options. These first 2 are more advisory focused, whereas the last one is more what has been done by each member state where they have a chance to deviate from the VAT Directive. And those options exercised by the directive is what is covered on that 3rd section. We purchased an electronic version. It has 1,000 pages, so I guess it's worth. Otherwise, it's pretty heavy. If you click on part 3, that's where you get to the VAT options of each member state, and you get some useful information. Right? Reduced VAT rates, VAT grouping rules, limits on deduction of import VAT, reverse charge scenarios. I find it very useful. It is worth purchasing it for your compliance team. Another tool I was going to show you is this little manual. It's not little at all. It's over 1,500 pages. It is published by Wolters Kluwer, edited by Deloitte. Again, I had the opportunity to participate in this manual from my time at Deloitte as working on knowledge. Very useful, very practical information. Again, great for people who are starting on VAT compliance. Pretty heavy. You can use it as a good manual or as a weapon to hit someone. That's all in terms of country manuals. Now let's move into the EU overviews. This is the last section. I'm going to dedicate the last 8 minutes to this, and then we're going to go to the questions. When it comes to, let me just open the right, there you go. When it comes to overviews, I've picked some overviews that I find very useful. The first one is the VAT due dates overview of Marosa. And why is this useful? Well, first of all, because you have, as its proper name says, the deadlines for each return in each country. Yeah. So very quickly you can check when each return is due, is updated. Whenever there are changes, for example, in Germany there were recent changes, we updated it. So pretty handy. It also tells you what happens if the due date falls on a weekend or a bank holiday. But it's also useful, and that's where I'm going, for knowing which returns are due in each country. So in Austria, for example, we see that an annual VAT return is due, and there are no others applicable. In Belgium, there is no annual summary return, but there is an annual sales listing and an annual prepayment due. So those sort of things that you want to check in Bulgaria, there are ledgers returns due together with the VAT return is useful, and I believe you can find it as a reference as well on the internet pretty quickly. Now the next one is a database that was published by the European Commission on VAT rates. This is very much awaited database, and it allows you to check the VAT rate based on the commodity code for goods, on the CPA code for services. Very useful. And if you are looking for a VAT rate, I would look for that. I will use that commodity code. I will keep a print screen of that information, and at least you have some record of what you have checked. As you know, with OSS, knowing the VAT rates in a country has become ever more important, because indeed you don't have to register in the country of destination if you're a distant seller, but you still need to apply the correct VAT rate. So that's why probably this tool was published last year, and the reason being for it. This tool, we're getting just to the end, is very, very handy. I really wanted to show this tool because it's hidden somewhere in the European Commission website, and I find it very useful. It's an invoice requirements overview for all EU countries. You simply need to select the country, select what type of content you want to hear, or you want to check on your invoices. You can check all of them. And the date, it even gives you the applicable legislation in a given period. And you come up with an overview of all the invoice requirements. We all know that if you have multiple VAT numbers, you need to comply with multiple invoicing requirements across Europe. Some require the fiscal representative details included on the invoice, some require the VAT number of the customer, some not. This is what you can check in this database, and that is why I find it very useful. And then the last tool. Why did I choose the statute of limitations overview of Marosa? Because it's a classic question that you have very often, and you don't find on the internet very often. So this is a question we get a lot. The information is there, and you can check it. We have a lot more tools. Give it a check. And I also included here some more that I will include on the presentation that we will send you later. One is the fiscal representative obligations in Europe. That's becoming very trendy, or became very trendy last January with all the Brexit changes. Interstat updated thresholds, a VAT rate overview across Europe. Marosa articles on usual VAT questions. We are quite good on publishing articles on usual topics such as use and enjoyment, consignment stock, rules on B2B services, typical questions that are kind of advisory related, but with a link to compliance that we find useful. And then something else that is often also unknown by many people is the historic VAT rates in Europe. In section number 8 of this PDF document, which is published by the European Commission, you can check not only the applicable VAT rates, but in this case, more importantly, because you already have VAT rates database here, but more importantly, what VAT rate was applicable, say, in 2017 in a given country. You have a historic view of all those VAT rates. So I find it really very useful to have this link to keep in mind. That's very much all from my end. Is 11:42, so we're right on time for 5 minutes of questions. Please, I've already asked you to do it before. There are 30 seconds delay, so please shoot your questions as soon as you can. I will receive them in 30 seconds. I also want to take the opportunity to announce our next webinar. That will be the 10th of June at 11 a.m. again. And we will cover OSS. That will be a hot topic by the time, well, it is already, but at that time we will be able to share all the ins and outs on the practical administrative requirements on OSS, all the mappings that we would have done, and how we will propose approaching these changes. So definitely, please register as soon as we publish the link, which will be done this week. If you're interested, we've kept your details. I hope you don't mind. We will, from time to time, publish some useful information. But please also, what is more importantly, if you have any questions about this webinar, after the webinar, or now, send them to us. We will be happy to stay in touch. If you have never heard of Marosa, it will be a great opportunity to get to know each other, and it will be our pleasure to assist you. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending the webinar. Let me now just now go to the, I think my colleague Linda is now going to put me live on the camera. So unfortunately for you, you see my full face now. And there should be some questions here. Right. Well, tax-free shopping regime, we are not so much involved when it comes to compliance and services. I assume tax-free shopping, you're referring to um, tax-free shopping by travelers, but my understanding might not be correct. So since I have your email here, Ricardo, I will answer in an email, and I'll be in touch. Uh, okay, we got 10 more questions published. Does Marosa have a VAT compliance tool? We certainly do. We have an Enflow tool, which is a workflow tool that keeps track of all your returns. But we are working on a comprehensive improvement of our compliance tool. So yes, we have a workflow tool and a reporting tool that currently produces VAT returns. But what we will be publishing over the next 2 months is Vatify, that's the name. And Vatify will be an automatic generator of registration forms and VAT returns. And not only, and I'm giving you already some information that no one knows, but not only we will produce VAT returns, we will file them. We will submit VAT returns with Vatify, and I think we will be the only ones doing that. So if you want to know more about Vatify, drop me please an email, and we will be happy to give you more information. Definitely something to be aware of. Vatify is going to be a game changer, and I honestly think so. I am personally involved on it for the last 10 months. Our software developers are, and it will be a big thing. Noelia is asking whether the Easy Sales tool in Spain is free of charge. It certainly is. It's on our website. Just go there and check it. Very useful. And as I said, we're going to publish it also for Portugal. And if you have more questions and you need more help to produce a tool sorry, a TXT file for other countries, drop us an email. We might evaluate it. How do I get access to Ibfd? As I said, we were presenting Ibfd because we find it interesting, but we don't have any link to it. I recommend that you go to their website and send a question. What you want is access to the tax research platform for VAT. Do not, well, if you're only working on VAT, do not purchase more than what you need. VAT is really what you need. The VAT section, which is I believe called International VAT Monitor and European VAT, Global European VAT section is what you need. But ask them, and I'm sure a sales representative will be able to help you. What is your approach with Hungarian online reporting and IT e-invoicing? We certainly have a solution for Hungarian real-time reporting and also for Italian e-invoicing. It's part of Vatify, so Josh, if you are interested, we can definitely get in touch with you and do a short demo. Our Hungarian real-time reporting tool is been already in place for some time. It's very flexible. It allows you exceptionally to submit Excel files, so to produce the Hungarian real-time reporting XML documents and to submit them to NAF online via an Excel. I insist on the exceptional because it can only be done if you submit your Excel within a few hours from the moment the invoice is issued, because it's an immediate obligation of invoicing in Hungary. But still, if your system is not up and ready yet, you can use our Excel solution. And on top of that, we have the simplest API REST integrations. We send you a block of code, you copy and paste it to your software developers who keep your ERP in up to date, and they will just need to copy and paste it. It will be bread and butter for them to integrate with our Hungarian real-time reporting, and exactly the same for the Italian electronic invoicing solution. So very, very easy, and certainly we have a solution. Is there an overview of penalties in Europe? Yes, there is, and you can find it in our website. So if you go to country manuals, say you take Spain, you go to VAT returns, you have penalties for each type of return. In this case, I'm just showing you the penalties for late payment and late registration in Spain. but you also have it for VAT returns, but you also have it for easy sales returns and for all other returns in the countries that we cover. Okay, tax-free shopping we already answered. How often do we update the manuals? Well, we update them as we go. So we're just updating them with all the Brexit changes. As you will see, for example, UK is already fully up to date, and we are updating them as we publish our newsletter, which is monthly. Anything that impacts the manuals, we get it updated. We have a dedicated knowledge manager person in charge of the manuals and the newsletter. So that's how much importance we give to it, and she's full-time working on the manuals. So to be fair, her name is Francesca, and she's only been with us for 8 months now in this role. So it is from 8 months for a year now since we are very, very proactive and very active on publishing good and detailed and granular newsletters, as well as publishing and updating our manuals. Do we have any replacement for Isabel cards in Belgium? I'm not sure, Juan, exactly what you're referring to, but I will drop you an email to understand exactly the question that you're covering. Yeah. Searching for a VAT number in the VAT register, you can see some information about sole proprietorship companies. This number is this number in Greece, for example, is also social security. Plus, you can. Well, is it legal? Well, I presented. Well, for a start, what I presented. Sorry, just for the record, Nikor is asking whether publishing so much information on some of the websites is legal. I presented the VAT checker tool, which provides the VAT number and the name. As far as I know, that's public information. There shouldn't be an issue with that, so I'm sure it's legal. Social security numbers, personal information. I don't think that would fall into the limits of the GDPR regulations in Europe, but I'm not aware of the tools you're referring to, Nick. So I only publish those ones that you've seen. Thank you, Josh, for the feedback. Better than Avalara. Avalara is a great provider of knowledge tools as well. So definitely worth keeping an eye, especially for VAT news. I think they are great. So they do a fantastic job as well. Arthur is asking, the tool for PT's easy sales will create an XML file, correct? Fantastic. Thank you, Arthur, for the feedback again. And yes, the tool for easy sales in Portugal will generate an easy sales file, just like we are generating a TXT file for Spain. So really useful. You will just copy and paste all that information and generate and upload it in our tool, and you will download the XML file. So really will save you a lot of time. That's the purpose. And thank you, Arthur, for contributing to this type of questions. A last point on that, and I'm 8 minutes beyond my time, but I think it was worth all those questions. Automating processes in VAT compliance. Marosa has bought a significant large option of a license for robots. We are investing heavily on RPA. And that means that if you find a process that is very manual and there is no API, SFTP, web service integration available, no macro that can do the work, you might talk to us. Frankly, we're quite busy now with Patify, which is the software reporting tool that we are developing. But it will integrate a number of RPA solutions, particularly to file the return. We will be available to help you with RPA technology on very manual processes that are not possible to automate otherwise. So I think we will definitely be useful for your team. That's all for me. Thank you very much for attending. It was a great experience to present this webinar. We will be publishing more. I hope you found it useful, and And thank you very much. Please stay in touch. We will be sending links to all the resources that we shared. And thank you. Have a lovely rest of the day and rest of the week. Bye bye.